Welcome back to Stop, Look, and Listen with Samantha. Today I have with me Derek T. Freeman. He is the author of Building Unstoppable Confidence for Teens. Tell me a little bit about what you went through as a teenager.
I was bullied pretty badly. I remember middle school, 7th and 8th grade, just being one of the hardest times in my life. I didn't want to wake up in the mornings. I didn't want to get on the bus. I didn't want to walk down the hallways. It was all just a bad time for me. I just look back on it knowing that I felt bad all the time and just not knowing why.
There's a lot of struggles that young people have because everything's so new and they're just trying to find themselves. If I was a teenager, what would I expect to get out of your book?
Well, if I go back to my teen years again, I know that looking back now that a lot of my thoughts were really just didn't work for me at all. They were all pretty much against me. Something as simple as I'm not good at this, whether it be a class or gym or a sport, or, I'm ugly or I'm out of shape, people don't like me, I'm not smart, I'm not funny. These are thoughts that I had as a kid. As an example, I remember specifically being afraid to walk down the hallways in school and afraid to look people in the eye because I knew that if I made any sort of contact, or I thought I knew if I made any sort of contact, that I would get either mocked or pushed into a locker or made fun of. I didn't realize day after day after day why nobody liked me and why I was so just miserable until I eventually came to the realization that I didn't like myself. That was the root of it, and I didn't even need anybody else to tell me that they didn't like me, or because I was telling myself that every day inadvertently.
How did you get through that?
One of the things that I teach in this book is to find your passion and to find the things in life that really motivate you and drive you and that you love. And for me, it was guitar, but it could be anything. And you need to learn how to be able to, as a young person especially, create that space in yourself where that can shine and come through. Finding your passion is beneficial in two ways, right? So it's not only going to raise your self-esteem because you're doing something you're passionate about and you're getting better at something and you're creating, which is what we're here to do, but also, and what I especially found for me is that when I poured myself into learning an instrument, the other things in my life that I perceived as bad just naturally fell away.
What are some of the other things you touch on in the book?
Overcoming things such as negative body image and bullying. Finding yourself would be the first chapter, and it's the first thing that I talk about in the book, followed by learning to become aware of your thoughts and your personal beliefs and thinking patterns that a lot of us, especially teenagers, aren't even aware that we're running through our heads day after day after day. It becomes a cycle on repeat, basically. And we don't realize that these things are actually creating our environment in a sense, and they're creating our reality and our experience of the world. So when I was a teenager, I really wanted to fit in badly, and I thought that that's what would make me happy. And I thought if I could be a little more like this person or this group, or if my hair was a little better, or if I lost a little weight, or if I had less acne, that people would like me more. And what I realize now is that I was living from the outside in, which is completely backwards. I was taking all the external world and saying, I need to fit into them, when in reality, what we need to be doing is creating from the inside out, discovering who we are, letting that shine, learning to like ourselves and love ourselves, and then the wisdom beyond that is that actually does create your outside world. Over time, you will notice everything change.
What you're doing is so important, and I think not only teenagers but adults can relate to these type of thought patterns that really everyone has. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I know it's going to help people. I'm going to put a link to Derek's book in the description, as well as a link to his social media so you can find him on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Thank you for having me.